It is hi everyone. Can y'all hear me now? Y'all can hear me? Okay. I wanted to come in because it is just so much going on with this David, or Dave, artist guy, and so I haven't been keeping up with it. I've just been hearing things about it because it's always something new coming out. So I wanted to share this video with you guys because, like I said, I haven't been watching, haven't been keeping up, but I wanted to watch a little bit of this video. And we're gonna, I'm gonna comment, make my little comments throughout. But sit back.
Earlier, I caught up with TMZ's executive producer, Charles Adibodiar. Here's our conversation about the case. I'm always curious when it comes to a vigil for someone who is a victim of a violent end. And for all we know, I don't know how Celeste died, but she was certainly treated horrendously in death. I always wonder if the killers show up at the vigils. Did you see or do you know of any evidence of police who were at that vigil, or maybe even undercover officers just watching to see who showed up?
There were police officers there, but as far as a presence that made you think they were watching, there wasn't anything obvious that I saw in the video. But they could have been there, and we know that that is an MO. That's not just something you see in movies and stuff. Like, it really does happen. So,
Scott Peterson.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, the police, the detectives, I'm sure, I would think, are aware of that, and that maybe they did have people there. I mean, that's a good, really good point, actually, and maybe they did. But again, there's been not only no arrest, there's no named person of interest, and no named suspect, which doesn't mean the police don't have a suspect.
Right.
It means they're not.
The best.
Yeah, they're just not willing to share it with us yet.
I'm looking at other things, and so are people online, and I know TMZ is as well. His posts are really starting to stand out. Like, he reposted someone who was cutting up meat and said, quote, "Me if I see her talk with other dudes." Now, he didn't write that, but he reposted it from someone else, and it clearly shows he would either cut up the person the girl was talking to, or he cut up the girl. That was sent before, obviously, Celeste was found murdered.
Oh my God.
But then there's another one of him washing his sneakers that she'd been photographed in. These are all, again, by themselves, not much. Together, they're forming a picture.
Yeah, you know, we're talking today about the lyrics, and you know, we've talked about romantic homicide, and those images that you're just talking about all sort of paint an image of an artist, right? Like, clearly, the best case scenario, you could look at that and say, this is just an image, a very macabre image he wanted to have out there for himself as an artist. But in light of what has happened now, it's impossible to not look at those things through a different lens. Now, that's maybe unfair to him as far as legally speaking, because again, he's not a suspect, but when his car, at the very least, we can say his car is connected to this crime, and now you start looking at all these things, it's hard not to look at it and go, what's going on there? You know,
Uncomfortable. I mean, not only that, Charles, you know, he is apparently, you know, he'd been selling these blood-spattered T-shirts.
Blood-splattered shirts, yeah.
Yeah, the casket on the stage, part of the act. Then there's music video with a body being put into a trunk. Again, none of it.
Nah, damn. He doing all. Come on now. Just come on now.
Would stand up in a court of law, but looking at all of these things together, it does give you a picture of somebody whose mind works a little differently.
It definitely works a little differently, but you know, on the other hand, you would say, I'm sure his attorney would say to you, that's his art, right? And you can't prosecute someone or arrest someone based on their art.
It's true. He hasn't been accused of anything. He hasn't been named as a person of interest in this particular case. It just happens to be that it's his car where the body was found, and it's his home that they raided, and that tells us a lot. Like, even when Diddy was in limbo, we talked about the fact that they raided two of Diddy's homes. I think an arrest might be imminent, and what do you know? I do want to ask you, though, about the sales of his records and the streams. None of this has affected him in a bad way.
No, I mean, as far as his music career goes, it sounds really weird and macabre to say, but it's helped. It has helped put David on.
Well, I mean, I didn't know who the guy was until this came out. I haven't went and listened to any of his music, but I didn't know who this guy was.
The radar screen of listeners around the country. His album just re-entered the Billboard 200, which is the album charts, and that would not have happened without all of this attention and people, listening to like, oh, who is David? And actually we do a lot of talkbacks with our affiliates around the country here, and I've had the question asked several times. People are like, I didn't know about this, didn't know about his music, and I've been listening to it now. And that's exactly what's happening. His streams, his song, Romantic Homicide, had its biggest week ever streaming on Spotify last week. So people are listening, they're checking out his music.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below.
People are checking out the words that he's saying in there. Okay, now let's see what I don't know if I want to do it for that long. Let's see what they talking about real quick. Let's see here. That was about 4 days ago. Okay, this was 5 hours ago. So let's see what they talking about.
This new scam is spreading rapidly in 2025 and emptying back.
Yeah, be careful out there.
Intensified after the body of a teenager was discovered in a Tesla that has been linked to him. From canceled tours to social media revelations, new developments are raising serious questions about their supposed relationship and the ongoing probe. We are going to break down the latest developments in this case and what law enforcement is focusing on next with a retired detective. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. The investigation into Houston-born singer David, d4vd, real name David Anthony Burke, continues to widen after the body of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was found decomposed in a Tesla reportedly registered to him. Authorities are still working to determine exactly what happened here, but the fallout is growing. There's an alleged former teacher of Celeste even coming forward with troubling claims about her connection
No, I did make a video of that. You guys can go and check that out. Thank you.
to the singer, and we're going to get there. But first, we got to look back at what we know when this case first broke. We covered it here on Sidebar. But on September 8th, LAPD officers responded to Hollywood Tow on Mansfield Avenue. And this is after workers reported a foul odor coming from the car. That car
to dismember this young woman. Sometimes the killer will dismember the victim because if they do that and disperse
for options before anything bad happens, okay? And the problem is, traditional life insurance, it always felt complicated and intimidating. So protect your family with life insurance.
Well, we have to kind of keep the Occam's razor principle in mind. I mean, this vehicle was registered to David Burke. It's apparently towed from across the street from a home that he was renting. So the simplest theory would be that this crime happened in the rear of the vehicle and likely by David or somebody close to him with access to the vehicle. That said, as an investigator, we have to keep in mind until the investigation is complete and all the facts are in that we don't know yet all the facts. We need to think about what we don't yet know. And as an investigator, while you want to trust your intuition and the wisdom of your experience and your common sense, we have to remember that just because you did 100 of these cases and it always turned out this way and the answer was X, in this case, the answer could still be Y. So we have to keep an open mind. But certainly there's a lot of publicly available information that seems to point to the involvement of David Burke in the death of this child.
By the way, what causes decomposition and how quickly does it happen?
Decomposition is a natural process once the person is no longer alive, and it's affected by a lot of factors, including temperature and whether the body is protected in some way. In this case, in the front trunk of a vehicle in Los Angeles in the late summer, it's likely that decomposition would happen very rapidly.
I want to get into some of the key updates in this case from the last time we spoke. So, according to Forbes and ABC News, police executed a search warrant at a Hollywood Hills home on September 18th where David had been staying. They seized a computer, they seized other items of evidence. Sources told the Los Angeles Times that David had been renting the home, which the LAPD confirmed to Forbes was on Donny Place. That's not far from where the Tesla was reportedly abandoned. And Matthew, actually, let's just start there. What does a search like that tell us about where investigators are focusing? How significant is it that they removed electronics and other materials from this property? What does this tell you?
Well, in order to get a search warrant, you need to be able to articulate to a judge that you have probable cause to believe crime has been committed and that evidence of that crime is going to be found in the place you intend to search. So just because you search somebody's residence or vehicle or other property doesn't necessarily mean that that person is your suspect in the crime. It simply means that that place is likely to have evidence related to the crime. So certainly they have to meet that legal standard in order to execute the search warrant. And I'm sure that in addition to looking for physical evidence, forensic evidence within the residence, as you said, they are seizing electronic evidence, and that's going to be critical in this case. I mean, just from what's already been reported publicly, there seems to be a lot of online communication between people who at least appear to be David and Celeste, going back maybe as far as 2022 when she was 11 or 12 years old. There's also a lot of communication, again, just being posted online between David and other parties that appear to have some knowledge, at least, of his relationship with Celeste. So the timeline is going to be really important here, and the electronic records are going to be an important part of that timeline.
100%. And by the way, we also have to mention that while this was going on, deputies in Houston, they also confirmed to Click 2 Houston that they responded twice last week to David's Cypress, Texas home after security alarms were triggered. Now, the property records tie the house to a trust that resembles the name of his debut album, Petals to Thorns. There's no search warrants that have been executed there, which is interesting because, Matthew, how would law enforcement typically treat these?
Did they say his first album title was Petals to Thorns? Now let's Petals to Thorns. Think about the petals to thorns, petals to thorns, petals to thorns. Thorns could be tough, rough, but a thorn is part of a rose, and once you open up a rose, it's
kinds of security alerts in an ongoing investigation. When you're talking about a different property, are you surprised that property hasn't been searched yet?
Well, that's the first I'm hearing of this, but it's interesting to think that somebody may have tried to make entry into that property. That could be an effort by somebody to remove evidence that was there. That's the obvious connection to this Los Angeles-based investigation. As to search warrants, again, officer or detective needs to be able to articulate probable cause to a judge that there is evidence of a crime on those premises, and apparently at this point they don't feel like they got that.
Now, I want your perspective on this too. So TMZ obtained messages from a Discord moderator that was tied to David's online community, and the administrator insisted that they believed Celeste to be 18 or 19 years old and denied knowing that she was a missing 15-year-old. Part of the message that was obtained by TMZ reads, "We, the Discord and Twitch staff teams, want to clarify what we knew and didn't know regarding Celeste. We were not aware of her true age or that she was a missing person."
Not Twitch being involved. Oh, hey, my Twitch family.
Also did not have any contact with her outside of what was made public. From what was shared in David's Twitch stream,
and my Discord people,
and from her role in the server, we understood her to be around 18 to 19. Now, it's not clear which administrator made this statement, but Matthew, that's interesting, right?
It is interesting, but I don't really know how relevant it is in terms of this criminal investigation. What's important is what David knew. And all the publicly available information appears to show that he knew her age, that he first communicated with her when she was a middle schooler, again, possibly 12 or 11 years old, and that when she left home with him in the first part of last year, she was only 13. And as we've been talking about her a lot, as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and as you said, it's important to remember, she never lived to see her 15th birthday. Right? She was found in the front trunk of that car the day after she should have turned 15. So this really is a child, and throughout her relationship with David, whatever it was, she was unquestionably a child.
And that's the point, because TMZ reports that there is this newly surfaced video that apparently shows David and Celeste together on a live stream interacting with fans. And in the clip, Celeste can be heard prompting David to respond to a comment. That video was recorded in January of 2024. You go back to that timeline, Matthew, of when they said she went missing. Is that video going to be key for investigators?
Absolutely. And that's just one of many images, moving and still, that have been popping up all over social media in the last couple of weeks. There seems to be a really strong digital footprint showing them in various locations, backstage at his concerts, doing his live stream, and various still images taken in various places, going back at least to early 2024. And again, as you said, it was several months before she left home, and while she was still very much a 13-year-old middle school kid.
Well, I tell you what, it's not just investigators looking into this. There have been a lot of online sleuths that have been digging into David's posts on social media as well as his songs to see if there's any clue about what might have happened here. There's an unreleased song that was leaked last week. It's reportedly called Celeste_demo unfin, as in unfinished. This is according to KTLA and TMZ.
And in David's biggest song, called Romantic Homicide, David sings, "In the back of my mind I killed you, and I didn't even regret it. I can't believe I said it, but it's true." We all know whether or not lyrics will play a role in criminal cases, controversial and constitutional issues as well. Just putting that to the side, though. In a 2022 interview, Forbes reports that Burke had said that those lyrics are figurative, saying, "I didn't kill her physically, but in the back of my mind she died." Online sleuths have also uncovered a TikTok video made by another user, but it was apparently reposted by David, where the person in the video is chopping up chicken, and words on the screen read, "Me if I see her talk with other dudes." So David's label, Interscope Records, along with UMG, Sony Music Publishing, Wasserman, they have paused all
Interscope Records.
promotional activities around his upcoming deluxe album and his career overall, basically. His last Instagram post celebrates the release of the deluxe version of his album, Withered, which was supposed to come out on September 19th. Forbes reported it hasn't appeared on streaming services. Matthew, a few things here. First of all, the lyrics, I mentioned, I've talked about cases involving musicians and criminal cases and whether or not lyrics can be introduced into evidence as, intent or shows their knowledge or what have you. But do you think that there's something of value there, or are people maybe reading into it too much?
I think there's certainly something of value, and you need to be careful in treating song lyrics as autobiographical or confessional. Johnny Cash saying that he shot an angry Reno just watching him die. Nobody thinks Johnny Cash killed anybody. But as you said, it's the totality of what he is putting out there, not just the lyrics to Celeste or Romantic Homicide, but the posts of chopping chicken. There's another post that had to do with jealous rage when he finds out she's had prior relationships. He created a sort of alter ego for his latest album tour called Tommy, who is pictured in a blood-spattered shirt, and David Burke described it as in an interview as his sort of evil, homicidal alter ego. Supposedly there's a video for Romantic Homicide that shows Tommy murdering a girl. So is it proof of anything? No. But it's certainly information and certainly part of the total picture that investigators and prosecutors are going to have to look at.
Why do you think there's been a full stop pause on his career? Is it because, hey, listen, from a PR perspective, from an optics point of view, as this investigation is going on, we as a business, we can't continue to promote his music, we can't, have any role in this whatsoever, we want to distance ourselves, we want to let this cool off, or does it signal to you that there is something going on in the investigation, that there is a development, that something is about to happen? It would help in the sense, now you know where he is, and if you need to further question him, he's not going on tour.
Absolutely, absolutely. He's not leaving the U.S. As to the sort of business decisions, I mean, he right now looks like somebody who's in a lot of trouble. All the available information right now seems to point to him. I can't imagine any publicity-conscious business wanting to continue association with him or wanting to promote him at this time. That, though, is a different calculus than is he guilty of homicide? And can that be proven to be optics? No doubt. So there's the optics right now, which seem to point very strongly to his guilt. That may yet prove to be the case, but we're still a long way off from, even at this point, apparently probable cause to arrest, much less guilty beyond reasonable doubt.
We got to talk about this next development. It's pretty wild, okay? A Southern California teacher, who is, by the way, not yet been named by law enforcement, revealed, or apparently revealed in a TikTok video, that Celeste had once been a student at Lakeland Village Middle School. In that video...
Now, y'all know I already posted about this, but just in case you ain't seen my video, I'm going to let it play. I hope y'all like this video. Go ahead on and share, like, subscribe. Go on and subscribe, it's free.
Which was recorded by a student in his class. He can be heard recounting that Celeste allegedly told other students that she met David online. Again, when she was 13 years old, ran away with him, was eventually found by police in Hollywood, and then disappeared again in 2024, May of 2024. And the teacher said that he even spoke with students at the time who told them that she had been in contact with David. TMZ says they spoke with this teacher who told them that he shared the story with his class as a cautionary tale about the dangers of social media. Matthew, given this teacher's account, or alleged account, of Celeste, running away, her interactions with David, what are the challenges that this type of information may present for investigators? How seriously do law enforcement agencies weigh this kind of statement?
Hold on. You're still
All right, look, they snuck it in. They tried to sneak it in on the girl.
Yeah, video taken by a student of a middle school teacher in his classroom is not in itself proof of anything, it's information, it's no evidence. The question is, can this teacher's account be corroborated in other ways? And again, a lot of what's coming out now is just coming out on social media, and sometimes it's multiple levels of hearsay, somebody posting on TikTok something that they're screenshotting off of Reddit or Discord. But all potentially evidence, again, the question is, can it be verified, can it be corroborated? There's a whole lot of stuff out there, like I said, some of it is second and third hand. It's TikTokers reposting things from Discord, things from Reddit, and so all of that is not inherently all that reliable. But if it matches what Celeste's family shares, what Celeste's friends are able to corroborate, what David's digital footprint informs them of, what the forensic evidence shows, now you're starting to put together a case.
And here's the point. Through all of this, Celeste's family is left grieving. In a message that was posted alongside a GoFundMe campaign, the Rivas Fernandez family wrote, "As many of you know, Celeste Rivas Fernandez has been identified as the body found last week. She was a beloved daughter, sister, cousin, and friend. Her family is heartbroken and devastated by this tragic loss. They are seeking help to lay her body to rest. Any funds you are able to donate are greatly appreciated." Matthew, do you think an arrest is imminent here? I mean, we started this case off by not even, there was a question of whether or not they were even able to identify the human remains. Came from the tattoo. They were able to ultimately identify this body as belonging to as that of Celeste. Do you think that there's going to be an arrest soon?
I can't speak to the timeline of the arrest. I would say this, that the men and women in LAPD's robbery homicide division are the best of what they do, that they're handpicked from an agency of 9,000 or so officers. In terms of the urgency to make an arrest, is there a public safety risk here? There doesn't appear to be. Is there a flight risk here? Apparently not. As you said, they know where he is, and he's not going to be able to go anywhere. So the caution would seem to be the best course of action here. This is a case that you want to put together rock solid, bulletproof, before you make an arrest. And I imagine that's what the post-robbery homicide are doing. I also wanted to thank you for saying what you did about the Rivas Fernandez family, because we are, as a society, fascinated with true crime. That's understandable. Often fascinating cases, but we're only able to tell these stories, we only hear these stories because, as you said, somebody has been terribly harmed, and people that love them are grieving. And so we need to keep that in mind and not aggrandize and apologize to the people that do this harm, but instead keep our focus on victims and people that love them.
I appreciate that. This is a tragedy.
Yes, that is a tragedy. That poor child. That poor child. Just a sad, sad situation. I think that was really, they touched on everything. I was gonna read this article, but they really touched on everything. I did see where the rumor about her being pregnant, um, the police have not confirmed that. I read a story. The police have not confirmed that. It's just rumors that have just ignited on the internet, Discord, Instagram, TikTok, but there was nothing. Actually, the account that started the rumor um deleted itself. So the users now deleted. So we don't know what that was. So don't take everything to heart. Just know that he has canceled his tour and the people are watching. And I really couldn't see. And it was also another rumor about a second girl. I couldn't find anything else on it either. But yeah, people are gonna say things. So I would just say, you know, just ignore it because people just saying stuff. To be honest, they don't know what's going on. But I would love to thank you guys for tuning in. And I am going to be cutting this off at the 25-minute mark. So if this is past 25 minutes, then you are listening to the replay. Now, the replay is to get my hours up so I can get in the algorithm. So work with me. But, yeah, please share and subscribe and check out my other stuff. I got other stuff. So, yeah, check that out. Talk to you later.
Oh, yeah, I know that this is it. 'Cause I know that I'm giving you a love. A love that you can resist, baby. Move over, Denzel.